Welcome to June 2025. We're doing the astrological overview of the main events of this month ahead, what you might expect for your sign as well as for the world. When we talk about your sign today, we're going to talk about the June 23rd cosmic reset button not seen for 12 years of Jupiter and the Sun co-joining in the sign of Cancer, where Jupiter has so much power, and how this brings one area of your life into a super powered goodness. We're also going to talk about world events as they pertain to some of the celestial sky stories. We're going to make some speculations about what might come from this month of June, knowing that astrology is the best guessed, astrological, sky reading story. I'm not always going to get it right. I got a few things right last month in May, and I'll share that with you as well. These videos are my overview videos. I do have individual 30-minute videos that have already come out. I'm recording this May 28th for my Patreon community. You guys get it a few days later. But if you want to go watch your individual 30-minute video for your sign for the month of June, it's already on my playlist. Look at my channel. I'll put the playlist in the description box below. And you can listen for your sun sign, moon sign, and rising. So sun is your career and purpose, moon is your home and domestic life and how you feel about things. And the rising sun is kind of like the character you're playing in the Matrix, right? It represents this sort of like most of our circumstantial life revolves around our ascendant, our deeper soul essence, and the questions of purpose, meaning, and why we're in a body at all come out of the sun, and it often outpitches as career and purpose matters. So listen for all three and see what resonates most for you. One thing I want to mention about June that I love, just a broad overview, is two planets move into dignity. Dignity meaning they're in their home kingdom of Taurus, where Venus will be moving on June the 5th. And on June the 9th, 10th, Jupiter moves into his exaltation kingdom of Cancer. So these two planets are strong in our sky and will try to deliver positive results for the world. And they're in a basic relationship to each other called a sextile. It's a whole sign, not degree based, but the energy is flowing between these two planets all month long. It's really good as a broad category of things to do with economy, cryptocurrencies, market stabilizing, positive things for peace in the world. Venus rules peace. She's moving into her kingdom of Taurus to stabilize peace in the world in places of war. So these things are very, very good for us. And no one's going to complain about let's have peace. For example, Jupiter's moving into the backroom deals and negotiations part of the nation of Iran. We may expect, therefore, to see some backroom deals and negotiations vis-a-vis the Trump administration to forestall the chance of a war in the Middle East with Israel and Iran primarily. There are other stories going on in our sky as well to connect to other matters. And one of them is a very difficult Mars Uranus square in the middle of the month. And unfortunately, that can look like one of those shocking world events, whether it's about weather, like an earthquake or a tsunami, whether it's about an event that is, alarming to the world, like, I don't want to say the words here. This algorithm doesn't like it. But anyway, events that we would kind of gasp at because there was a situation of mayhem and unalivingness, various forms of that can happen in the world, because Mars is the god of war, swords. He rules, weapons. He rules aggression. He rules red rum, MURDER, and all of that, and mass mass red rum as well. Sorry guys, I sound like obtuse, but the algorithm is really picky about this stuff because it doesn't want that on my channel. I guess if I was doing another kind of channel, it would. So I don't want to give them a chance to unalive my channel here on the algorithm. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian, and we're using Western tropical astrology. This is not sidereal. This is not our real-time sky. This is a symbolic sky, but it works to do prediction. Why? Because this is a matrix. This is a simulation. It doesn't matter if you're using a virtual symbolic sky or a real sky. It's still going to give you the results you want. The other thing I want to say is that I'm doing my Sky Reader class. I'm so happy. In July, I'm going to be teaching. And if you want to come 6 weeks live with me, be your own astrologer, time of your best life, information will be in the description box below, either to enroll, probably not quite yet, or get on the early bird discount waitlist. Course description will be in the description box as well. My 2025 All Science bundles are for sale at half price. That means you're getting 12 videos, 2 hours each, 12 different PDF guidebooks for each sign, shared with friends and family. Half a year left. Why not know how to navigate 2025? The content is broken down chronologically quarter by quarter, so it's easy to follow. And you'll get the second half of the year for only $33. And you can listen for Sun, Moon, and Rising or share with your friends and family. It's in the description box below, the information about how to get it. Now, yes, I'm in my shorts today. That's why you're seeing my knee, because it's a warm, sunny day in Vancouver, Canada. And so I'm enjoying that beautiful weather. All right, so we're going to start talking about the sky. I'm going to show you the sky. I'm going to give you a screenshotable graphic. I just want to briefly say that astrology is about guesswork, or sky reading, as I call it. But I got a few things right last month. I talked about stock market turbulences and dips early in May 4th to 6th, and coming back a bit later. Both of those actually correlated to turbulence in the markets. I was hoping that May 4th to 6th was going to be more positive. It was the end of a 9-day winning streak and a pullback. But the next time this happened, when I did think that the markets would be very turbulent, they indeed were. So I picked up some stock market downdrafts coming through, particularly May 16th to the 18th with a Mars Leo square, Mercury square Mars. And I said stocks may be very rocky at the time. And actually what really happened was Moody's downgraded. Moody's was the last last organization to downgrade the United States credit rating, and it did cause the markets, the indices, to head down in a downward direction from May 19th to, I'm recording on the 28th. I'm not sure if they've even bounced up yet. They've just started to go down in that direction of, downward. I mentioned as well shocking news last month. I said somewhere around the May 16th to 18th, especially May 19th, there would be some surprising news to do with events in the world connected, I said, to China, to Israel, I said, China, etc. Israel shocking news on that window of time. Actually, I think I said May 12th. But anyway, I did predict it. I got the time pretty close. Anyway, what was going on at the time was France, UK, and Canada decided to shock the world by telling the world that they were no longer going to support the actions of Israel in the Middle East and were asking for change or else. So there was that. That was a surprise. United States, I said surprising events around the 12th of May and also a little bit later, 16th to the 18th. I was talking about stuff like this, and United States got a hostage back from Israel, a soldier, American from New Jersey, maybe, or Brooklyn, who went off to fight in the war, be a soldier in Israel, and they got Eden Alexander, is that his name, back from private deals with Hamas. So that was a surprise to do with the United States and Israel. I specifically mentioned Israel and the United States at the time. I'm only doing this not because I'm touting my horn. I can never say exactly how something's going to work, but I can see that what the energy archetypally will be when the Sun and Uranus co-join. Sun is leader, Uranus is shocking news. It happened at a degree in the sky where it was opposite Joe Biden's sun, and the announcement of his cancer was made, and so that was a shocking surprise. I didn't pick on the Biden one. I talked about other stories, particularly it's near the sun of Israel, so I mentioned Israel, and certain things did happen then around May 18th, and the shocking energy was around the 18th, 19th, Uranus, shock and awe, sun, leaders, world leaders. That was when Smotrich, Bezalel Smotrich, the super right-wing guy, I think finance minister in the Knesset of Israel, announced publicly that we will conquer, cleanse Gaza. We will destroy everything that's left of Gaza, and said the Palestinians will be pushed out to third countries. Now, he said that, but it was quoted worldwide because it was shocking, because they said the quiet part out loud. And so there was that shock that hit the world at that time. Not really a shock, but the audacity of it all was what was probably so shocking. So here you go. And I don't want to prop all of the things I said. I did get a lot of things right. I think I mentioned Trump had a meeting on the 19th with Putin, and that was during the Sun leader, Uranus, outside the box, eccentric, radical stuff, and declared that they would work on peace negotiations to stop the war in Ukraine at that time. Whether that's ever going to happen, I think it will. It remains to be seen. And that's what we've got. I mean, there's other stuff. I mean, I'm recording when May's still playing out. I did wonder what Mercury conjunct Uranus would bring on the 24th, 25th of May in terms of surprising, shocking news stories. And here I am sitting here and I'm not sure what they are. Maybe it was the head of the aid organization that was being cobbled together out of Switzerland that was supposed to go into Gaza. The head guy dropped out and quit his job, citing crimes against humanity concerns, right? That's pretty shocking that the guy who's supposed to go in there to deliver aid in such a way that presses the people further south and then traps them there, said, I'm not going in with that. And that happened around the 24th, 25th of May, when I was maybe 6th of May, when I was talking about another shocking story to do with the world that would connect to earlier events that we saw back in around May the 12th or so. No, May the 18th, 19th. And indeed, that is a dovetail of the same story, right? So, okay, let's go ahead. Let's look at the chart. I want you to do a screenshot. Let's see. I'm going to make some predictions about the world today as I feel into it. For your sign, it's a happy story for the most part. It is Jupiter and the Sun co-joining together in the sky, which is a cosmic reset button that leads to a kind of reset or redirection of where you wish to experience life, prosperity, and goodness. And we're going to talk about that very briefly for each sign. I will do a super deep dive into that video when we get closer to the 23rd, but it is really an important transit and it only happens every 12 years. And I didn't really dive into that in my individual 30-minute videos. Here you can do screenshots of what we have going. We'll see a strawberry moon at 20 Sagittarius. You'll see a new moon on June 26th at 4 degrees of Cancer with Jupiter conjunct it, which is very powerful. And that is an interesting sky because we do see so much goodness here. You'll notice I've colored the planets, like Venus is pink, Mercury is blue, Jupiter for abundance is green, Sun is yellow, Mars is red because Mars is a malefic. And, think blood, think mayhem, think red things, war, and think the red planet Mars. And so in this regard, you'll see the colors of the sky are primarily positive. I wanted to bring that to your attention. This is not a bad month at all. There are planets in dignity, and there are more good things going on than negative things or difficult things in our sky. So I want to say, as I said in my All Signs video, it's a breath of fresh air because the month of June brings lucky Jupiter into exaltation, Venus in dignity in Taurus, and a sense that nothing is as crunchy and grindy as it was in the month before and the month before. So in other words, April and May were pretty eclipse-wise and everything else going on just after that. I would say March, April, and May were a bit of a storm. And I actually said in my All Signs video for the year ahead, I said, I just kind of global predictions. I said, the first half of the year feels challenging. The second half feels better. Okay. So June the 4th to the 5th, Venus is in a sextile. So you can screenshot this, right? But you have this handy. Venus is in Aries, sextiling Jupiter and Gemini. They're both at the end of their signs. They're coming to a close in those stories. But there's just something about that. It's Venus is luck and prosperity, and Venus is, goodness and friendship and money. So everyone should look around June the 4th to the 5th, around that time, for something positive in their love life, in their financial life, and something expansive, gracious, good, and optimistic happening here. Of course, it's going to be relative to the Aries whole sign house and the Gemini sign of your sky, whole sign house of your natal sky for world events. Venus is in the sign of war. She's conjunct, by the way, Chiron, the wounded healer. Just before that is a very strong possibility. There's a healing of the war wounds, and Jupiter is fairness, justice, and will try to attempt peace between fighting brothers. Gemini is the twins. And so that would be both the Middle East and the Ukraine war coming to a positive resolution around June the 4th and the 5th. If the world events are going to lead us there, that would likely be what it is. Because Iran has a Leo rising and Venus is trining the rising sign, there's a strong possibility then from that perspective as well, and Jupiter sextiling that rising sign, that you're going to see also a negotiation of a way to get through the intensity of what's going on with Iran vis-a-vis Israel's desire to bomb it. I'm recording on what day? I shouldn't say that word. I'm recording on the day in which they announced, well, we're going to give the United States, Netanyahu announces, we're going to give the United States a little bit more time to work things out with Iran before we, do the thing, right? NUKE it. Seriously, who's wagging whose tail there, guys? All right, Mercury and Gemini sextiling Mars and Leo. Mercury is news, Mars is actions and decisions, and sextiles are positive. Positive news, actions, and decisions are happening in the sky. Mars and Leo, he is a war god. Leo represents kings and rulers. So negotiations is Mercury's story. And my bet is the first week of June, epicenter, maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th or so, we're going to see peace in some places in the world, lasting peace deals being made. On June the 8th, the 9th, Mercury and Gemini will co-join with Jupiter. This is just simply good news. Jupiter is goodness and Mercury is news. And again, Gemini is about brothers and neighbors. And also Gemini is about communications and technology. Just look for good news in the world in that area in your life and also in your own Gemini whole sign house. I'm an Aquarius rising. That's a house of children. I might find one of my children has some good news to share with me on that day. Jupiter is a fertility god. One of my children may be getting ready to make babies and letting me know that their wife or my daughter hopefully is not pregnant. She's too young. Mercury's in Cancer, square Saturn, Neptune, Aries. Okay. Neptune and Saturn are sitting together in the sign of Aries in the 1st degree, and Mercury is joining in on the fray. This is, again, about some kind of energetic news, right? And you might notice, oh, what do you mean? Mercury was in Gemini with Jupiter, but then he slid over the sign boundary. So this is like the 8th and 9th and 10th, maybe 9th and 10th. We see that moving of Mercury over to talk with Saturn and Neptune. And Neptune is dissolving things. Saturn is bringing form. They don't really have the same energies, oil and water. Yet in this regard, Neptune can say, what are the visions and dreams? And Saturn says sober and realistic. And Mercury says ideas and news. And so Cancer will pertain to a part of your energy of your whole sign house system, one of the parts of the sky. I covered that in my all signs video for you. Now, Cancer in the United States Sibley chart would be about money in the chart. It has to do with the financial markets, primarily stocks, investments, finances can be very 8th house in banking and economies and industry. And so like economics. So it's possible Mercury is coming against Saturn, Neptune, where the delusions are there. And there's a hard assessment of the reality around economic matters, including tariffs that may be ongoing around the 9th or 10th of June. Venus is in Taurus, squaring Pluto in Aquarius on the 9th and 10th. Venus is a benefic in her home kingdom. She slid across the boundary on June the 5th into the sign of Taurus, and now she is in her home kingdom full of power. She's in strength and dignity. She's got this, guys. She's a queen of her own kingdom, and no one can tell her what to do. I'm born with Taurus and Venus and Taurus in my 4th house. So because she's so powerful, Pluto doesn't stand a chance. She's got more of the upper hand, squares Pluto. And yeah, so it's possible what Venus may do is tell Pluto to fuck off, excuse my language. Pluto is like a dominating, controlling, and dark side, Darth Vader / tyrannical, dictatorial, what's the other word I want? Despot energy in the dark side, right? Kind of like the tyrant, the despot, the dictator. So it's possible there's some power struggle here for you in your life between this part of the sky, the Taurus and the Aquarian story. It will propel you to stand your ground, make a decision, stand for what's good in your life. And for everyone globally, there's other stories in the world. Venus is in the sign of Taurus, the bull. It could be about the markets. And again, Pluto is riches, but Pluto is secrets. And Venus may display secrets to do with economies and stock markets or land or resources and riches and truth. We'll see what happens. On June the 10th to the 29th, the entire backdrop of the sky, if you're a watercolor painter, you know how you have to put a wash, like you layer the washes on the canvas in the backdrop. So the backdrop for the sky is a wash of this energy of conflict. But it's not the worst. It's usually economic and political stories when Jupiter and Saturn are squaring. They were squaring in August, around the 19th, the middle of August last year, also in December. And here they are again. And the other squares were in different signs. So it is not the same as it was back then when the squares were not in the cardinal sign. So I have to qualify that right away. It isn't the same story. It's not Saturn and Pisces anymore, wishy-washy, right? This is different. Saturn is an aggressive Aries. Jupiter is no longer in Gemini. He's now in Cancer. The mutable signs are adaptable, flexible. They're like Gumby and Pokey for you 60s girls like me. They're like bendy and bendable, pliable and changeable, mutable and fickle energies. And so when Saturn kept squaring Jupiter and Saturn kept squaring each other, it's almost like pin the tail on the donkey. No one could tell which way it was going to go. The way it showed up was market turbulence both times, stock market turbulence. Will this be stock market turbulence or not? Jupiter is exalted. It doesn't have to be the same story. It could be stock market revival, stock market stability, stock market good news. I don't know. So we'll see what happens, but we'll have that ongoing backdrop story for quite a long time, the 10th to the 29th. I cover this in your individual readings, so I'm not going to talk about it here, how it might play out. Remember, Saturn is with Neptune as well, adding a little bit of the dissolving and confusing and foggy and miasma energy to the whole thing as well. So remember when Greenspan said irrational exuberance back in the day of the tech bubble? I'd say it's similar energy, because Neptune will give you a foggy delusion, a glamour, a feeling that everything is wonderful and stable, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter is exalted. So he's a little bit over enthusiastic in the sign of the moon. He's like, I don't want one dog. I want a litter of dogs. I don't want one thing. I want to, like, he's kind of like hedonistically entitled or something. Around fertility and growth. So there may be something going on in the markets that look like a super rally, and yet it may not be sustainable. So just be aware that if you're a trader, fine. But I'm going to say that if you see a market turnaround that looks like another bull market starting June 10th to 29th, remember, we're at the end of a decade-long bull market, and bull markets don't go that long. So there's no way that that's going to be real. So be careful with your money. If that's what it looks like, trade it, but maybe don't trust it. Trade it, but don't trust it. June 10th to the 29th. Stock markets boom when there's wars. I hate to say that. Hopefully that's not what's going on. June 11th and 12th, Mercury will be in Cancer. We call this a mute sign, means that he apparently can't talk very well in the water signs, like you're underwater in a swimming pool. And he sextiling Venus and Taurus. She's in such dignity. Mercury's news. It's good news. It's some kind of positive news, some kind of positive information, communication, negotiation going on. Venus and Taurus is peace. She wants to bring stability. It could be about the markets as well, especially with Mercury and Cancer in the Sibley chart. Again, it could look like a stock market glow up. It is possible. June 13th to the 16th, Mars enters into Leo. Well, he's in Leo already. Sorry, he got there mid-April and leaves mid-June. But he's still at the tail end of Leo on June 13th to the 16th. And he's going to form a square to Uranus, still sitting close to that fixed star Algol. That's the demon's head. That's calamity. That's off with their head. Medusa's decapitation. Algol always means somebody losing their head. Sometimes head of state, sometimes death of head of state. The bullet that clipped Trump's ear could have taken his head off. That would have been that was the Algol star with Uranus on it and Mars on it together, squaring his ascendant in the summer. I did predict that would happen, that he would be in harm's way around the 15th of July. I did that prediction a couple of weeks before, and it did bear out. Now, I could say that this is still Uranus close enough to Donald Trump's midheaven that this could be a big story about Donald Trump, June 13th to the 16th. All right, Mars is in Leo, where Donald Trump has his natal Mars. He's just had a Mars return, and his Mars is at 26 degrees. And so there's something going on probably with Donald Trump, maybe J.D. Vance, and maybe Iran. They are all strong Leo energies in their charts. And Uranus is shock and awe. We have Venus and Taurus bonifying everything, trying to bring good things from shocking circumstances. So I would say it reminds me of the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's a crisis at hand involving maybe Vance, maybe Trump, maybe countries like Iran that are strongly placed when it comes to their Leo rising nation, right? Those things are highlighted here very powerfully, very strongly in our sky. And crisis is what a square brings. Conflict, crisis, urgency. Decisions, actions, So there's something going on June 13th to the 16th. And this is with that square that I alluded to in the beginning that's very difficult, because it can look like, mass SHOOTINGS. It can look like TRROR events. It can look like escalations in WAR. I hope you guys can spell. It can look like the darker side of Mars. Mars rules people who unalive other people as a profession. So Let's hope for the best. That's our gnarly sky. In your own life, I cover this in your individual signs video, how to handle this energy. I often talk about how not to have an accident or injure yourself. There's different ways it can play out, depends on your chart. I suggest you go watch your all signs 30-minute video to find out how this plays out, mostly for your ascendant, which is the one that can put you most in harm's way. So, and how to avoid harm, June 13th to the 16th. On June 19th to the 21st, Mars then slides into Virgo and he's sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. Good news again. Jupiter is positive, a bounteous energy, and Mars is in the sign of Virgo, which is health. If there's anything to do with health going on in the world, like, oh no, we're going to have another pandemic, there's going to be a turnaround story and everything's going to be just fine. But Mars in Virgo is also about earth and land and medicine and healing and health. So many ways it could play out. Oh, in so many ways it could play out. Netanyahu has a Virgo midheaven. So maybe there's something going on there that's going to be finally looking positive. Cancer is the place of the sky. Does he have a Virgo midheaven? I'm trying to remember. Yes. And Cancer is the 10th house of the nation of Israel. So it could be some good news regarding Netanyahu. Good news would be that he's retired or he gets pushed out of office, in my view, or even, unfortunately, unalived. But I don't wish harm on anybody. But anyway, Mars in Virgo sextile Jupiter in Cancer. But let's see what happens. You got to think about all the Virgos you know, all the Cancers you know, and it's good news in the end. It's positive developments in the end. It could play out in so many different ways. I'm sitting with it for a second. The leadership of the nation of the United States is Virgo. That's the 10th house of the Sibley chart. So again, positive Mars in that place of U.S. leadership, 10th house, and flowing to Jupiter in Cancer. Could be good news around tariff settlements. Who knows? Let's see what happens. Well, it's not like good news. It's good action and decisions that look good, and we're all happy for it, right? So it looks good news that way. Sun is on Jupiter on June 23rd, 25th. You know, it's really, I think, exact on the 24th. But the point being, this conjunction, let's just say 23rd to 25th, time zone dependent, is Jupiter's reset here. He resets with the sun every 12 months, but in this sign, only every 12 years. This is going to give you a 1-year story in 4 parts. I'll cover it in more depth later. Today's video, I'll cover how this might feel like you got divine blessings coming through the sky that are exalted in your Cancer sign, whole sign house. For me, it's work and health. So I'm got divine blessings for health, divine blessings for work, vitality, enthusiasm, growth and expansion, and prosperity, because I'm an Aquarius rising. So that's a way to understand it. I cover this in my all signs individual videos playlist in the description box. June 25th to 28th, Sun will enter in. Well, Sun is entered into Cancer on the 21st, right? 21st, depends on your time zone, on the solstice, summer solstice. But then June 23rd to 25th, I covered Sun, Jupiter. Then on June 25th to 28th, Sun is sextiling Mars in Virgo. Cancer, Virgo, 2 signs away from each other, forms a sextile, and that is extremely positive. Mars is doing some good things. Mars is a difficult planet, but he's working with Jupiter. Now he's working with the sun. The only time he has any tension was just with the outer planet, Uranus. Again, it's a much better month than we normally experience. So maybe a world leader, sun, Mars, sextile in Virgo, some developments that we would look up to, think are positive. I'm trying to think of people in the field of whose signs where. Cancer. Alberta is a Cancer. In Canada, we have a movement for the province to separate from the rest of the country right now. So Sun in the first house of Alberta's the province's natal chart with good developments connected to Mars. Maybe finally Mars and Virgo is about Earth. You know, our Carney will agree to allow for pipelines to be created since we have a robust natural gas facility for pipelines that we could be making money on in our country. And we've got some really radical environmentalists who don't want to let us develop any more pipelines. And Carney's net zero agenda added with the C-something 9 pipeline ban in Canada. Is that crazy, guys? No wonder we're in massive debt and in trouble, and maybe would become the 51st state. Maybe a turnaround there because demands by Alberta forces the hand of our government in power. June 26th to the 20th, and in the world, look for Cancer rising nations, look for Virgo rising nations. Virgo rising is Lebanon. Mars is in the first house of the nation of Lebanon. Something good could be happening then. There, as of course, there's always tension in Lebanon vis-a-vis Gaza, Israel. So we may see some positive developments. Sun in Cancer is the sun in the house of the leadership of Israel, flowing to the Hezbollah in Mars, right? The fighters in Lebanon, some kind of truce agreements or peace or developments that are positive. June 25th, 26th in the Middle East may involve Lebanon. On June 26th to the 27th, Mercury, the messenger, moving through Leo, is now flowing to Uranus and Taurus. It's surprising, shocking, exciting, positive news for the world. Okay. Stock markets are in Taurus energy, the bull. I mean, it covers the economics, the stock markets as well. Leo is kings and leaders. Again, Vance, Iran. For Iran, it's an interesting narrative. Because for Iran, the 10th house of the nation is Taurus. So good news regarding matters to do with Iran may be emerging that surprise the world. June 26th, 27th, June 27th to 29th, Mercury is also still in Leo. Now he's flowing to Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. Again, trines also are more lucky than sextiles. They bring opportunity, expansion, growth, and luck in kind of a big way. So look to your Leo whole sign house and your Aries whole sign house. I cover that in my video. Again, anytime you see Leo, think Vance, Iran, and Trump, and good things are happening. He's still with us, Donald Trump, because remember, we all worried he was going to go through it, like I said, mid-April to the end of May. Hopefully that he made it through, but there's some difficulty here for him in June as well in terms of his wellness and his safety. But let's see. I don't want anyone not to be well or safe. I don't care. I don't wish harm for anyone. And I take back what I said about Netanyahu. And June 29th to 30th, Mercury and Leo opposite Pluto and Aquarius. Well, that's the difficult one. There is a hard conversation going on in our lives and in the world. It's either Vance, Iran, Trump, Leo, power struggle against an Aquarian force. The nation of China is Aquarius rising. In this case, then there could be a real clash between Vance or Trump and Aquarius rising, China, and a very difficult power struggle going on June the 29th to the 30th. All right. Thanks for listening to the overview. Hopefully you guys got a screenshot. I'm not going to cover the moons here. I put individual moon videos out for you. And in your all signs forecast, I covered those lunations as well. So you can go listen to your 30-minute individual video, and then you'll get that information for yourself. Each video is about 25 to 35 minutes long. Don't complain if you got a little bit less than somebody else. I do my best, right? Sometimes you don't have as much going on in your chart compared to another sign, and that's why yours is a little bit shorter. And then in another year or time, it will be just as large, if not larger. The sky's not evenly distributed right now, right? Planets are in more signs than others. Okay, so we're going to talk next about your sign. The focal point is the good news energy, good Jupiter, exalted Cancer, connected to the sun, vitality, truth, divine headquarters, and knowledge and wisdom. And how this reset button resets your life for 1 year. And although it's happening in the 23rd to the 25th, guys, it is a year-long story. All right. So if you're watching the live premiere, like, subscribe, please hit the notification bell and comment and share this video. Otherwise, I'm going to start going through each sign. I'm going to get myself my probiotic soda, and I'll be right back. I'm addicted to this Kirk's probiotic soda. It's Canadian. This is a watermelon flavor, guys. I got to get in touch with these guys, but then I can't really promote. It says drink with purpose. Can I read this to you? Because it's so good. Created in a home kitchen while Kirk was in early recovery and tackling gut health issues. Kirk's more than just a soda. Every bottle is packed with live products, crisp and refreshing taste, low in sugar, giving you the gut flora, the good stuff it needs, giving your gut flora the good stuff it needs. Plus, each sip helps support others on their road to recovery through our giving program, Drink with Purpose. Oh my God, yes. I love that kind of stuff. Okay, are you ready? We're rolling into your sign. And we're starting with Aries, of course. I think I would have cued that while I went to grab my probiotic soda, right? Let's cue. At the end of every video, I do a little outro where I talk about something that really captivates me. And if you're into that kind of thing, where I'm going to, like talk about an esoteric subject like remote viewing, out-of-body experiences, my thoughts about the world, whatever. I'm trying to stay away from politics here. I'm going to probably have on Substack, I do with my Pluto Chronicles come out about where I really think things are going and who the bad guys are, so to speak, because I'm not going to be punished algorithmically over at Substack. So if you want to check my Pluto Chronicles out, you can subscribe for free. I put free content out, and I also have paid levels of content as well. Anytime I do an all signs post, it's paid content where I delineate your sign for something in writing. June, okay, I'm moving our chart to around the time of this beautiful conjunction, and we're going to start with Aries, of course. And you're going to feel the day before, a day after, but the actual reset is the day of the conjunction, which looks like it's June 24th. So what I'm going to do before anything else is I'm going to spin the wheel a little bit and get us back to Aries. So you can see the conjunction at 3 degrees and a half-ish of the sign of Cancer. And this doesn't need to be here. This is the asteroid house. I'm not going to move it, but Jupiter was tracking with house for a long time, and that's for another video. So just ignore it. And what we're going to do is take us back to Aries together. So we can do this. Aries always goes first, guys. You got to go with the program. I'm an Aries, Sun, Moon, and Mercury, and Athena, and asteroid Atlantis. So here we have it. So it's exciting. I always love a Jupiter reset every year, but this is his exaltation. So it's got to be good, right? All right. So Jupiter exalted is Jupiter in the temple of the moon with superpowers of goodness. Really, really amazing stuff. So for you, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the Sun and Jupiter is your cosmic reset button, where there's going to be sort of the divine intelligence of the Sun informing Jupiter how to best behave on your behalf over the course of the next year. Funny enough, with the asteroid house there, I'm going to say that it's probably really good for the word house. Anything to do with home, property, real estate, land, and you are on the upswing over the course of June the 24th at a year. Now, with an exaltation, this could also indicate a beautiful house, a large house, a glorious house, an expensive house, a mansion, an expansive home, expanding your home, getting more than one home. Jupiter multiplies what he touches. It could also be family in the home. And this is often a signature for children. So either you, depending on your age, or your own child may be having children. And this expands the family. And so I have 2 children, and one of them is planning to get pregnant in the next year. My son and his wife, and let's see what happens. So that wouldn't surprise me as a Jupiter transit as well. Now, one thing about this is that Jupiter is prosperity and abundance, and it can represent prosperity and abundance in and from the home. So for anybody who works in the home or has a home-based business, this is going to be extremely powerful. This could lend itself to an increased prosperity, unlike anything you would have seen since 2013-14 when this happened. Was it 2013, 14? 12 years ago. 12 years ago from 25. I have dyscalculia. 2013, 14. Yes. And so I would say to you, if you are entrepreneurial or do home-based work, the Sun is the ruler here with Jupiter of your 5th house of entrepreneurial business, and also children and pregnancy and fertility. So you're having a baby, kids are having babies, babies are coming in. Jupiter rules the house of grandchildren, grandchildren are coming in, but also you could get very prosperous in and from your home through entrepreneurial self-starting energies. Finally, one of the options you got going on with Jupiter here in that whole expansion of the home, right, is literally you may end up with more people in your home, just an expansion of people living with you. Mercury here means communication and commerce and marketing and selling from home, and in the home can be prosperous. And you want to buy a home? Sure. Why not? Buying a home with Juno, contractual agreements and mortgages, and Mercury bakes in the idea of the ability to sell or purchase a property under great and auspicious circumstances. And with Mars in the house of rentals, similarly, over the course of 12 months, a reset button that allows you to rent out your property to the perfect tenant or to rent the perfect property as a leasee. So these are extremely positive stories. Do I see any downside here? Oh. Not really, but I will remind you that the moon is the lord of the story itself, and she will be in a new moon shortly after this. It would be to me, as this becomes pretty exact, that the moon is in Gemini, there may be some collateral benefits that Jupiter brings the moon into your 3rd house. And this could benefit you for writing, communicating, teaching, learning, and traveling, opportunity, growth, expansion. And that moon, kind of gets this kind of like side hustle, side eye from Jupiter to bring in some of his goodness in her temple, and maybe it could bleed through to your third house as well. They're in a semi-sextile. It's very subtle. All right, let's keep on going. What degree is the moon when it's exact? If you don't mind, I'm going to check. 3 degrees. We're going to move the sun forward a bit more. If you don't mind, it was kind of nice to know what degree that moon's at. I know I should have done this beforehand, but honestly, guys, I'm not always on my A game, despite it all. 3 degrees. I thought it was 3 degrees. I thought it was 3 degrees and a half. 3 degrees and a half-ish. 3 degrees. There we are. 3 degrees in like 21 minutes or 20 minutes. And the moon will be at which degree? 22 degrees of Gemini. At least we know where the moon is exactly. Sextiling Chiron. Nice. Okay, let's get back to Aries. No, we're actually finished with you, Aries. Now, when I do my video that's coming up for this, I'm going to dive into other parts of the story, including Sabian, some more asteroid stories. I don't have time to do that today because this is really just to remind you that your month ahead video is already out for 30 minutes. And please go watch that video. And if you like it, just share it with friends and family and help the channel grow by being, a sharer of my content. I so appreciate if you could do that. On June the 24th, we're going to see this story of Sun for Taurus connected to Jupiter. Haven't seen it since 2013-14's year-long reset button. And technically same time of year kind of thing, like June of 2013 to June of 2014. Hyper blessings. I'm going to go back. Sorry. Aries, I want to compare something. Aries. When I had this happen back in 2013-14, I mentioned this, we had to move our home because the landlady was selling it. My partner and I were renting, my second husband. And what it did was it opened up a bigger home. But there's another thing. We moved to a place with a pool, etc. We found the place at the tail end of this 1-year reset. But the funny thing about that summer of 13 to 14 is Jupiter means guru or teacher. And literally, I had a guru living in my home. Okay. You can't make this stuff up. He stayed for 40 days and 40 nights. It was like literally epically bizarre. So teacher in the home as well. Could be a story that you experienced during that transit Aries. Guru in the home. All right. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. So this is a conjunction that happened in, summer of 13 and lasted until summer of 2014 to give you an exalted reset button. Hallelujah. In your third house. And if you wanted to travel, if you wanted to change your neighborhood to a more beautiful, bigger, more luscious hood, if you wanted a new home in a new neighborhood, house is there. If you wanted to sell a home or move a home from one neighborhood to the other, Mercury is there. This is good for writers. This is a house of writing. This is good for marketing and selling. This is both of those things. This is a glow up in the land of social media. That's one of the third house stories. It's good for learning from a teacher, and Jupiter is teacher. And so maybe you're going to find yourself a learning curve going on, Taurus, when you get a new teacher in your life. It could be a guide, a therapist, a guru or a teacher in the local hood or online that really captivates your interest in a divinely orchestrated way for a cosmic reset button. When we make a move in the third house, because house is here, we don't usually move like countries. We often move within our country or close enough to count. I know a Taurus for whom this was a move from California back to Canada. And I guess I'd say it surprises me that it was that big of a move. But again, it could indicate travel or moving to a new home in a place that wouldn't be too exotic. I think Canada and the United States are kind of like the same in a lot of ways. Don't shoot me, elbows up and all that. But, I've seen it work like that as well. So moving within North America or moving within continental Europe, moving within a familiar zone of influence rather than an exotic, far off move to another country that's foreign to you. So you could have a change of home, Taurus, to another country or like that's similar to your own country. And you may also have an expansion of your home, a bigger home in a better neighborhood. Jupiter bring you the luxury neighborhood, the fancy neighborhood, the expansive neighborhood, maybe near water, maybe near a lake. Cancer. This is really good if you work online. If you're a social media beast, and this is going to set your place on to tsunamis of success. And house could mean like a new home on the online world. Maybe you're going to join Substack. Maybe you're going to become a part of X, and you've never done that. So you could find a home that expands and exalts you in your internet online social media realm. It could be good for commerce, marketing, selling, writing, and communicating. It's really good for brick and mortar businesses if you're going to manage them. Jupiter, Mercury are like managerial energies as well, kind of like, but not like Saturn. That's kind of like the low level management. This is being in the high level, upper echelons of managing something connected to brick and mortar type businesses or travel type businesses in the travel industry. And you may have opportunities coming for you there. My Taurus son daughter wants to change her work to something new. This would be auspicious for some of the kinds of ideas I've given you in this little rundown. The third house is your sibling, one younger, siblings in general, is aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. It's the local neighborhood and the neighbors in the hood and friends from your childhood. A glow up, a beautiful yes button is going off here for a year, and all good things happen in regards to those people, places, and things I've just mentioned, and your daily habits and routines, like and places you go on the regular, the gym, the store, the bank, those things are going to be exalted as well. Good things are happening in your daily life in the local environment in which you live. You might find yourself encountering a more fun, play, joy, and pleasure in community in your local environment. It could be that beautifully simple. The moon, and by the way, the sun is the ruler of your fourth house. So again, it's really good for home and neighborhood changes that are prosperous. You might also find that with the moon sitting as she is, moon is sitting. And by the way, Jupiter is not just exalting the Cancer story. He's flowing to the North Node in September, right? So there's something really good about gains in your career connected to third house matters and new friendship circles as well. But we'll cover that when we get to it. The moon is the owner of the real estate in a semi-sextile to Jupiter. It's kind of like a lot of what goes on in the third house is an attempt to bring good things to you financially. The moon wants to close out one area of financial gain and begin something new. Why close out? Because the moon is waning. It's a balsamic moon. It's basically a darker moon. It's about to end. It's a fingernail crescent. So you're closing out, ending, and completing something. And with asteroid Algira, with the moon, maybe needing to dream a new dream when it comes to money and finances and earnings and resources and self-esteem. For ops gives you a happy ending after a time of difficulty in the second house. So this is to dream a new financial dream as one path of money and earnings and wealth and resources closes out for another and more empowered one, Pluto ops, to come into your life in the next year. Good luck. I hope that goes so well for you. One thing about Mars in the sextile to this conjunction is he will open up dynamic, exciting changes for any of you who consider entrepreneurial directions for your career gains or your money gains. I mean, I can see that being extremely positive to move into more of a self-starter, independent mode out of the employment energy. If you don't do that, then you just have a lot of drive and passion and ambition going on for the building of financial opportunity in new ways. And Jupiter wants to sort of attach it somehow to third house stories. Some of you might move, and that opens up new career opportunities because of the relocation, or you relocate for those career opportunities. Because Jupiter is in a whole sign trine to your marriage and marriage partnership, goddess is in there. Some of your change of home is connected to a long-term committed love story. Okay, some of you, that will be true. Don't forget general bell curve. This is not everybody's story. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Now, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first, right? We have this not seen since 2013 summer to 2014 reset button by Jupiter, exalted in your earnings house. You can't go wrong financially with this alignment. Trust me. It will up-level you financially in terms of resources, savings, and earnings. With house there, some of this money may be applied towards getting a home or a house. A house could be a house for your money. So an incorporation, a tax shelter, a new structure for your money. And Mercury says, we're going to quietly communicate, market, sell merchandise to get this thing off the road. And we're going to do, really good accounting if we need to. And we might be busy with Mercury here, making money through mercurial means, Jupiter, Mercury, teaching, speaking, coaching, guiding, shining a light of knowledge and wisdom into the world, especially with the North Node expanding your 10th house. Now, there is a good energy here, given that the sun is also the ruler, as it conjoins Jupiter, of course, of the Leo house next door. Collateral benefits into writing, communicating, marketing, selling, teaching, online world, or in brick and mortar businesses, or in local neighborhoods. Scrying and divining and prosperity as well. For the third house is a house of the scryers, diviners, and the fortune tellers. And so you might find that part of your life becoming ever more lucrative in ways that you didn't anticipate, that are not comparable to ever before. You know what I'm saying, Jelly Bean? I have my progressed sun in Gemini. And indeed, last time this happened, 12 years ago, my sun was already in Gemini. And I made a lot more money in 2013, 14 than I had forever in the online world. I'm not going to give you all the reasons, but I was working for 2 different online magazines, and I began to up-level my financial wellness through that mechanism. Now, Jupiter gives you what you want, not what you need. He's very much the guy with the wisdom quotient. So if you were to lean into making money for the chasing the paper, Guru Jupiter probably doesn't go there, right? So you got to feel the alignment factor rather than the misalignment factor for this to work for you. And I don't want to go into the story, but I also had a deep failure of chasing some paper, going for the money over the deep soul calling back in 2013, 14, and some financial failures there as well. Now, with Juno in your 6th house and Jupiter in a whole sign sextile, Mercury complicit, something about this could open you up to employees. You might hire people, or you might get a new job. And certainly for those of you who work and want jobs, yeah, North Node, Juno, Jupiter, this is like get a job, get the best job, get the most, fancy job, more worldly success, more money. This can glow that up. And it doesn't happen to be on the June 24th. It's a promise that runs for 12 months. And collateral benefits to your health, the moon in the house of the first house of the ascendant, or if it's your Gemini moon, very big benefits regarding home and emotions. If it's your Gemini sun, around career path, if your Gemini rising, your health. And so you might find that this, however this financial glow up looks, it really impacts your health in a positive way. But you want to dream a new dream to bring better health to your life. You want to look at Algira to help yourself envision the most beautiful career, the most beautiful home, the most beautiful emotional contentment, the most beautiful health. That's the energy of the moon in its balsamic wisdom and sagacity. It's a wise old woman moon, and she's with this dream a new dream. And maybe dream a new dream about your identity in the world. Maybe it's time to change who you think you are. The moon isn't a mutual reception to Mercury. They want to work together. By changing who you are and who you think you are to be, you increase your financial prosperity as well. The more true you are to yourself. So be who you are is a phrase that my girlfriend Robin Rice created for her brand years ago. Be who you are. But by being who you really are, you're also being prosperous in the next year. I hope that's useful for you. Mars does like the idea of changing your home, right? He's flowing to that whole house thing. So South Node is letting go of one home and moving to another home. And sometimes Mars here can look like the expat. You might move to quite a far off place or distant shore, but you're definitely possibly by the end of this year changing homes. A lot of you know I'm moving in June, right? But that kind of makes sense because, of course, my lease is up next June and I could at the very end of the story move again. You never know. That's just my progressed Gemini sun. So it's really more about my career. Progressions are not as important as natal chart placements, but they help define an extra layer of meaning. All right, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. The sky opens up, a fresh start, a cosmic headquarters reset button in your sign. Of course, it's important. If your rising sign is here, it doesn't matter if it's at 3 degrees, you're all feeling it. It's a reset button that connects you to a deeper layer of who you are. True, wise, be who you are, find the identity that makes you thrive. This is a pregnancy signature for those of you who can be pregnant. This is a get bigger body and more muscular if you want to work out. Expand your sense of identity, expand your magnanimity, expand your charismatic, attractive, magnetic qualities. You become Jupiterian, become more leaderful, become more filled with faith, hope, and optimism as Jupiter's sun give you an infusion of new vitality. But yet that is for the risings. For the sun, it's just a big glow in your career, you Cancer suns. Cancer moons and glow in your feelings, in your home, in your nest, and where you live. So that said, with asteroid house here, a lot of Cancers are going to make some changes in the next year, no matter what, regarding the word home and house. Now, whether it's a metaphor for being at home within yourself or it's real, time for a change of home, I can't say. But with Mars in the house of neighborhoods and letting go, you may change your neighborhood of your home, or you might move within your own country. So there's definitely a possible home change coming for many of you in the next 12 months. Yet it's blessed and it's significantly destined and fated and positive. With the energy here as well of Jupiter, of the sun ruling your second house, this kind of expansion of self or career or home life increases prosperity as well, allows for more earning, savings, and financial growth in your life. So yes, you are lucky, you are prosperous, you are leaderful, you are on your A game. I do not see a downside for Jupiter here. You might be even escalated to guru teacher status. And if you are already a coach, a guide, a teacher, that could increase. The balsamic moon is leaning into the story from the house before. She is waning. She's getting ready to close out an old story to be born into a fresh new story. And she's wise. And so this older moon in the house of spiritual liberation and deep spiritual truth, in a house of deep insight into your Akashic records and your soul, is going to help you dream a new dream. And I would say that it's a time where your alone time, your nocturnal dreams, your contemplative time is very rich for you and subtly enhanced by this Jupiter narrative. For the moon and Mercury are in that mutual reception. Pay attention to your dreams, your visions, your inspirations, your meditative insights. They're going to be highly important for you over the course of the next 12 months. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising. First of all, this is a lunation that's deeply spiritual. Lunation. This is a Jupiter solar conjunction that's deeply spiritual. If you're involved in seeking gurus, finding God, exiting the matrix, I mean spiritually, then this is yes. You could have tried this out 2013, 14. Don't know. Because it's not just that. That's for your spiritual seekers. You may do that. This could give you a new home in a distant shore and far off place within your country or close by, but a distant land, home, new beginnings, fresh starts, luck, and opportunity. This is also where you have addictions and self-undoing, and you may be able to blast through those with great grace and goodness and miracle endings to those paths of self-undoing and self-harm. Having Juno flowing from the 12th does indicate contracts around home and land and real estate, especially with the North Node in the 8th house. This can bring abundance and prosperity from an inheritance as well in the next 12 months. If you are going to make changes to your home here, anything you want to do, buy a home, sell a home, move a home, and this is possible, you have the financial resources to do it, and that's what matters. And Mars is motivating you to be a bit more of a self-starter from things you do in your downtime, and maybe projects you're doing when you're alone and you're in your contemplative solitude can be very prosperous. But you're also looking at the potential of winning money, not winning money, getting an inheritance or some chunks of money off of this Jupiter in the next year. And I don't know, with the 12th house, sometimes you can really find yourself having more expenses than usual. But if you want to hack that, because Jupiter could expand your expenses regarding matters of home, then to hack that is to be charitable. The more you are charitable towards others and find some, like give money away or go to the soup kitchen and help out, the more you act with compassion and charity, the better you're going to do with this Jupiter transit. Okay. So that your expenditures are coming willingly to support others, that the money will flow back to you, or the goodness will flow back to you. Because the moon is next door, because it's happening in the temple of the moon, and she's in a reception to Mercury, there's a subtle hookup that's quite sweet between a moon that's on the waning phase of the last crescent, old and wise, in the house of career gains. How you make money wants to change. You want to dream a new dream. Asteroid Algira is with the moon. Go into the dream time, envision, dream into it. How are you wanting to make money in a new way? And with Mars, it's very self-starter. For a lot of you, you might start your own business, do a side hustle, get away from the hierarchical or the grind of the 9 to 5. And that will be a very prosperous direction for you as you close out or come to a close with wisdom and circumspection, an old way of creating career gains and earnings. Now, this is the house of the elder sibling. I have to laugh. My Leo son sister has been my assistant for 3 years. She is paid, but I can see her moving away from that and me hiring someone else under this kind of influence, right? As she builds her own entrepreneurial business. That's an example. The moksha houses are all alive for you, right? With the North Node in the 8th, Juno here baking into the 4th. So by moving towards spiritual truth and wisdom, liberating yourself from your ego, family of origin, and past life karmic stuff, there's a huge amount of goodness in the sky. If you've never, ever been involved in spiritual seeking or finding, this could be a beginning of that path for many, many Leos in the next 12 months ahead. Don't forget, you did have this in 13-14, summer to summer. Now, this is just a quick stop to share. I'll be right back. I need my eye drops. I'm back. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Seems like I've gotten over the worst of the allergies. Thank you, everyone who gave me great suggestions. Mostly I've been down the quercetin, but I think that the offending pollen, which is the cottonwood stuff, went away. There's still some flying around, but this morning I seem to be okay. Now, relatively speaking, what is okay anyway? Let's move on to Virgo people. Reminding you, this is a year-long reset button. Hit that like button and subscribe, please. Hit the notification bell, especially if you're listening in my premiere. Now, the thing I want you to know is Virgo. You're under eclipse energy, right? South Node eclipse energy starting January of this year through to mid next year. So everything about your life has taken a hyper destiny. Virgo sun, career, Virgo moon, your home life and emotions, and Virgo rising, any circumstance in your life. It's about to have, in this time period, massive shifts. You're trying to grow a bigger, better relationship or find a destined partner, whatever, but it's all the backdrop that must be paid attention to. And we'll get to why in a minute. Jupiter's resetting you. And so this wasn't here in 2013, 14, June to June, when this happened last. No, it wasn't here at all. So Jupiter is in your 11th house, meeting the sun for cosmic headquarters, divine instructions on earnings from your career, gains from your career, long-range goal streams and plans for your life. In other words, you're going to lean into truth, wisdom, faith, hope, and optimism and luck. This could look like definitely some positive developments as one job closes out, a waning moon in your 10th. Dream a new dream, and a new, more prosperous path of earnings and financial career resources begins. And they may have nothing to do with each other. I worked in sales and now I work in, a beautiful boutique of clothing. I mean, you may massively change direction. This can look like not just a job change, but a career change. But whatever is changing, it's going to be wealthy, prosperous, and good for you. You might find yourself at home in your new earnings style, and you might be marketing, selling, or communicating, or promoting, or messaging, thank you, Mercury, in this way that money is coming to you. Friends, allies, and benefactors are supportive in the year ahead. Those 12 months bring people who want to help you out of the woodwork, friends with favors in high places, elder siblings who've got your back, prosperity from the sibling one older than you. They're prospering and you benefit. You might find yourself in a mode where you find yourself in touch with friends who are much more buoyant, jovial, fun, generous, magnanimous, wealthy, and friendly. Mercury's friendly, Jupiter is all the other things. It's kind of like, wow, who is this new crew that I'm with? I feel so at home in this social group. If you've had social group issues, you haven't found your tribe of choice, you're really not sure about these friends, this is going to be very, very beneficial. With the square from Saturn and Neptune, we'll be covering that in more depth, in the deeper video. You could find sober friends. Like say you need to find sober friends because all your friends are alcoholics. That could be like, and then I found sober friends. But whatever you're doing, you're loving the new group, or if you find a new group of friendship circles in the next year, it wouldn't surprise me. But the career gains are luscious. And I do know what the moon is doing. She's mutual recepting in a way to Mercury. It's about letting one old story go about how you do your career and building something new because something's closing and it's going to bring you a happy ending. in terms of a new direction for your career. So I'm not going to say everyone will change like their entire career. Say you were a real estate agent and you've always sold residential. Now you're only going to sell commercial, but you realize that's your cup of tea. I mean, it could just be that, but there is a change here, and it's very prosperous in the house of good spirit. Jupiter's in his joy, resetting your cosmic button for 12 months. Yes, go for it. There is a trine to Jupiter, more or less. And so, I mean, to Juno, his wife. So this could be very positive for you when it comes to matters to do with contractual agreements regarding your career and travel, career and neighborhood, career and marketing and selling that favor you over the course of a year. And I would wonder, with the North Node, of course, expanding your seventh house, some of this could bring some positive directions for new love stories for single Virgos connected to friendship groups where you meet this person or local neighborhood environments. But if you're with someone already, it's going to try to help glow up your significant relationship the best Jupiter can by bringing more fun and play and friendship and doing things together with groups of people into the relationship in a way that really strengthens that relationship that's already here. Okay. Mars is you with all your decision making, action taking, chutzpah. And Mars is giving you the strength and the determination and the willpower to do whatever you will to do. Your willpower is on steroids right now, and you're moving in alignment with your destiny. And Mars says, I use this feisty willpower to increase my career gains, find my new social groups of friends, and revise my long range goals and dreams with directional clarity, decision making, and action taking power and willpower. All right. I'm getting out of Virgo to Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Cosmic reset button, Jupiter at the top of the sky. It is your career house. No two ways about it. Get ready for a glow up in your career. Go back to 2013 summer to 2014. Did you get a raise, promotion? Were you up leveled? Did you get more success, more recognition, more expansion of your duties, more did the boss love you? What was going on then? Because this was what that was. I mean, Sun is boss, Jupiter is leader. It was like something good. This has house up there. And that's funny because I'm not sure how to interpret it. It could mean that your place of work is going to move to a new building. It could be that you find yourself at home in your work at last. You could work more as a leader teacher if that's never been something you've done. Mercury means communicating, marketing, selling, writing, and messaging. And there's a lot of that going on in the high noon of your sky. He's a guy with a microphone. You might be on podcasts. You might be on, radio shows or TV shows. You might be getting more publicity off of this kind of thing regarding whatever the path of your career is. But certainly if you work in marketing and selling, you're going to be doing well. Now, you could be so prosperous that this job or career up level gives you a new home. Now, that home part wasn't here last time. This is the asteroid house. So this could be such a level of up level in the next 12 months, June 24th at 12 months, that you're just literally like going to be able to get a new home off of your powerful elevation of career success. And with Jupiter in this beautiful flowing state, gorgeously flowing to the North Node in the sixth house of job, again, it looks like a lot of the work you do in the world works with the career and reputation space to increase success. And with Juno in the second house, some of you are literally going to be signing new contracts or agreements to increase your success in your work. It looks like some of you may also find new work out of this, no doubt about it. Mars is kind of in a retirement place with the South Node sextiling Jupiter. This could just indicate leaving behind one job for another or changing your job to a foreign country, foreign employer, or distant shore. Perhaps the house and the Mars South Node means changing your house to a distant shore for the work you do. Distant or foreign shore is possible for some of you. The moon is waning. The moon is tired. She's an old balsamic wise wanderer. She's getting ready, fingernail crescent before the darkness. She's getting ready to retire out of something in the ninth house with a new dream, Algira beside her. Now, the ninth house has to do with your long range, is your dharma, your true north, hitting the mark, like being on target with a kind of purposeful, meaningful career. But it's also assisting others. It's being in kind of like hand of the king jobs. It could be something to do with being a therapist or a counselor. Those are ninth house professions. You might be closing those out. You might also close out career paths that connect to travel, book publishing. You're completing something here. And the reason I want to bring it up is that, Jupiter is giving you something new in the house of the moon, but the moon is in a reception to Mercury. And so there's news that wants to show up for you about a change of your work, a shifting of the gears. It puts you in the superstar seat from the back room, from the behind the scenes of other people's success. You go into the place of great success. I'd say you could become like the CEO, or you could be really elevated if you're in a corporate setting to the head or division of a whole like chunk of land or something. I mean, you're really moving up and you're changing things. The career is not the same career 1 year from this ingress and this June 24th. So keep that in mind. I love it. It looks extremely positive. All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. First things first, with this kind of a sky Scorpio, you're asked to look at your belief about spiritual philosophy, religion, and God. You can't avoid it. Why? Jupiter's in the house of churches and synagogues and mosques, and he's up there like being a pulpit, like being a minister, that kind of guy, right? And I wonder if some of you are, for the first time in your life, depends on your age, renegotiating your lease on the divine beliefs you have. Because if you go back to 2013, 14, what did you do then? Summer of each, 13, 14, because you might have had to do that then. You might have joined a new church. You might have changed your religion. You might have found a spiritual guide, guru, teacher, mentor, or even just coach. But there's something about that wants to return to you again. With the asteroid house here, being at home in this new structure, with the sun ruling your 10th house, fortifying sort of like the engine fuel for your career path by being more purposeful, more aligned with purpose and meaning in your life, more dharmically fueled, so that you can move into also some more success and prosperity in your career, where the sun will travel over there and translate the light of Jupiter. Because this moon is in its waning phase behind the Jupiter story, and don't forget, in a reception to Mercury, negotiations, agreements, and deals around chunky money favor you greatly in the 12 months ahead, like royalty income, like chunks of money from inheritances, like money in court settlements that favor you as a payout, like new tax structures that work in your behalf, these sorts of things. You're completing and phasing out of some kind of financial stories that no longer serve you, that are karmic, and dreaming a new dream after times of hardship, maybe with debts like mortgages and bank loans and hardship there. Now you found new structures and you're healing indebtedness in your life and allowing for some shift in the finances as well. The Mars story is interesting because Mars is really agreeing with Jupiter. We got to work something out here. And Mars will help you change your long range goals and dreams and really revise them by letting go of the ones that no longer fit. And it can indicate some changes in your career as well, like letting go of your career gains in a career path that was never really right for you. After all, we do have Chiron in your 6th house, reminding you since 2019 that the work you do in the world hasn't quite really fit. If the glove fits, good old O.J. Simpson, but it didn't fit. It hasn't fit. You have not been able to get your fingers in that glove of that career path exactly right. I'm pretty sure most of you will agree, since 2019. And this is a kind of a turning point in that narrative. Because you also have the flowing North Node in the 5th house, be creative, be entrepreneurial, be inspired, go back to school. If you have natural gifts and talents you want to fortify, this is Jupiter, the professor, in the house of the academic realm, the North Node in the house of education of for fortification of one's natural talents and abilities. Your natural intelligence is the 5th house. It's the things you're naturally good at, but you might learn more how to be better at them. So don't hesitate. The sky will maybe force your hand to go back to school. A contractual agreement, a commitment to new learning and new creativity and new entrepreneurial chutzpah. If you're into entrepreneurial stuff, there's a good story here as well. Or artistic, creative, performative. The house of the muse is alive and well. Alive and well. We're not really going to cover the square from Saturn, but it could look like you're getting definitely ready to change your work in the next 12 months. It's something that really lights you up. and brings you into alignment with purpose. Okay. We'll be doing a much deeper dive on this later on. And that's what I have for you. I don't really know what else to say. That's the main thrust of it. Move into purpose, meaning in life, spiritual truth and wisdom. Some of you might re-educate. If you're going to have any kind of court cases, you're going to win at them. Money can come from legal agreements, court cases, inheritances, royalty income, residual income. Chunks of money can show up in the year ahead. It's definitely inheritance money as well, but the moon is in the inheritance house and she's closing out a story. And Jupiter's been traveling through that house for a year. Some of you already got inheritances, but if you didn't, it's still in play. There's still the possibility here that the 12 months that follow, Jupiter brings the gains of the inheritance house into the ninth. You may have to wait for probate, courts, decisions to unwind, but things should go well on your behalf. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Jupiter's your ruler. So, like Pisces, he's important to you, and he's joining the sun like he has not done for 12 years, right? Summer of 13 to 14, to reset your life and your chunky money. But what's chunky money? I always describe it right after unearned income, other people's money that you share. You're a shareholder in a stock. You share the royalty income with the book publisher. You share the money with your spouse. You don't earn those monies directly. You do, but they're residual or passive. And energetically, it's kind of the money that often comes to you in like a one-off, the commission check, the performance review, the severance package, the insurance payout. Okay, get the idea. So this kind of chunky money, it comes in a chunk. It is literally going to be blossoming in your chart. If you are going to divorce, you do well in the divorce financially, legally. If you're going to get an inheritance and it will give you a year of a potential inheritance signature, you're going to do well in that regard. You could inherit a house with a North Node and house involved in houses 8 and 4, inherit property, inherit land. If you're in a divorce settlement, it goes well, but who gets the house? You do. You might find that this can also be really good for agreements, contracts, and settlements from people from far off shores and distant places regarding land, property, and real estate, and success in the next 12 months. Mars is opening up action and decisions in the house of the public eye, reputation. I'm going to give you something people don't talk about. Oh, it's a house of career. Yes, 10th house, but it's also reputation. I'm divorced, I'm married, I'm widowed, I'm single, those things, right? And now in our modern world, it's I'm a she, he, him, her, him, they, whatever. But it's that status energy of who you are in the eyes of the world. Mars is changing it. South Node is letting go of an old one. I'm with Mars squaring the marriage house, there's a possibility with that waning moon. Some of you are getting unmarried, right? The moon is in its closing phase, the last crescent light before it goes dark. And she's the temple lord where Jupiter sits. It looks like some of you Sagittarius are coming to the close of a longer term committed love relationship, especially with Saturn, the house of sex and romance, squaring the moon Jupiter. And this is about sharing the assets, dividing the assets, sort of the spoils of the marriage war. It shouldn't go unwell for you. It should go very, very well as you change your reputation and status because of that. Could it be the other way around? You're getting married and you're getting married rich? Sure. But there's changes maybe connected to marriage house. But because it's a waning moon, it's the last phase before it's dark. It looks to me like an ending more than a new beginning. In fact, opposites happy endings in the marriage house after times of great difficulty and travail. So for those of you who've been struggling in a marriage that hasn't felt right for a long time, this is going to right that ship, so to speak, to put it into a kind of success story already. Like you, by getting out, you are happier. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. No two ways about it. All right, let's continue to the next sign. What about Capricorn? Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Let me take a slurp of my drink. First of all, in your story, if you go back to summer of 13 to summer of 14, Jupiter and the sun co-join together in the sky. It's happening once again. This is your marriage house. Are you single? You could get married, meet somebody, start a new relationship, find a home within the relationship, be at home in the relationship, find a new home with a relationship partner, a new home, a new change of hood, a neighborhood, travel to a new home because of relationship. It's very good for starting a new relationship, especially with Venus in the fifth house sextiling Jupiter. But if you're already in a relationship, it will try to beautify, bonify, and increase the success in surprising ways. Thank you, Uranus, Venus, of a relationship that already exists. Now, this is the level up signature. Jupiter going through here means we were dating, now we're monogamous. We were monogamous, now we're moving in together. We're moving in together, now we're getting married. There's a wedding scheduled, there's a ring on it, that thing. So your person could propose to you, you could propose to them. This could up-level the relationship. Mercury would say, yes, we're having some news here, change of status, we're moving upward. What I like about this is that it's also your audience, client, and marketplace, and legal contracts and dealings and business dealings. Those are all going to go very well in the next 12 months. Things like this happen in 2012, 13, and 14 in any positive way. Now, if you went through 2012 and 13 and nothing like this happened, maybe it was more to do with your work situation. My Capricorn ex-husband got married to me during this storyline, more or less. So I don't know. There's ways that things can increase in prosperity through the way you reach out to your audience, marketplace, and clients. That's what I'm trying to say. Prosperity through the outreach to those people and more wealthy and powerful people coming into your life. It's possible. Now, you might meet a guru or a teacher, significant other, guru, teacher, Jupiter. And if you're looking for one, they could show up. Now, I don't mind the North Node in the third house and a whole sign flow to Jupiter and especially to Mercury. This is not so bad if you want to write, teach, speak, communicate something about spiritual truth and wisdom to the larger public. That's good for that. Contractual Juno in the 11th house. Maybe you're going to make some contracts for new gains in your career. If you could get a career opportunity off of this, it's going to require you to travel. But that's okay because it looks very prosperous. And it maybe comes to a friend from a favor from a friend or someone you know in high places that you get this offer opportunity in the next 12 months. Oh, you're retired, eh? Well, good luck with that, guys, because this doesn't look very retirement-y in any which way to me. The sun is your chunky money lord, and your chunky money increases through spouse, significant relationship, audience, marketplace outreach. This is good for your investments in the markets as long as you're working with another person in your life, because this is coming from other people. So do you have a guru financial advisor? That's not too shabby. If you've been feeling wounded about my home and where I belong, that's about to change as well. Because a chironic wound, now Saturn, Neptune is squaring this Jupiter story through grinding gears of change. You're going to try to change your home. And maybe involving a relationship, a change of home connected to a committed love relationship, maybe in the works for some of you guys. Mars in your ninth house, travel to foreign countries in your relationship, moving to a foreign country because of your relationship, major changes in a long-term relationship that's a third marriage type relationship. We'll see what happens. South Node can mean letting go and releasing and surrendering. South Node can mean karmic destined change. We talk about Mars because he flows to Jupiter, you see. So what is that about? Mars can bring you a career opportunity connected to a foreign land and distant shore. That's another meaning of that as well. But it'll be somewhere from your past. Like South Node says, you've been there before, you worked there before, you've known these people before. All right, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Sky opens up something for you, new beginnings, 1 year long. Yes, it does. June 24th of this year till the end of June next year, just like it did in the summer of 2013-14 in your sixth house of work, health, pets, rentals, and tenancies. In 2013-14, I bought an investment rental property. I bought it in pre-sale and I rented it out and I sold it at a great profit a few years later, 5 years later. That's exactly the kind of opportunity Jupiter can bring an Aquarius, for example. But it means pets, a destined, beautiful, big, abundant litter of cats or something, or a pet can come off of this. Now, the moon isn't really here. Okay. The moon is in Gemini. It's just I had to advance the chart. So keep your eyes closed. When the conjunction is exact, the moon is in Gemini. One thing about it is that you could find yourself in this condition being extremely wealthy or prosperous or lucky in the job and career sector. For the North Node expands your earnings in a flow to Jupiter Moon, Jupiter Sun, and Juno says partnerships, agreements, contracts. Now, if you want to partner with someone, great. If you want to get contractual agreements that enhance your work, great. You're looking for a big, bold, beautiful new job, fantastic. What happened in 1314, right? Compare notes. I think I was senior editor at the Goodman Project magazine. And I had just gotten elevated to like another level of accomplishment or status there. Something like that happened. And I was more prosperous. You don't make a lot of money in those online jobs even then, but I got more prosperity then than I did in the years before with, Elephant Journal and stuff. Now, one of the things about Jupiter here is good for your health because this is a house of sickness. And when Jupiter is here, he finds solutions to your problems. So he's going to bonify your health. And you might find new forms of being healthy as well. With house here, though, a new house or a change of house that makes you more healthy. Venus is flowing to Jupiter in a whole sign sextile with surprising Uranus developments, a surprisingly beautiful new home that brings you a change of health, healthy in and from the home, prosperous in and from the home, in the work you do. New levels of prosperity that shock and surprise you in and from the home, a feeling of joy and goodness in the work you do, a hiring of staff, Mercury, Jupiter, that allows you to be more prosperous in your career if you are the boss. Jupiter here is good for debt situations, like when you have to pay credit cards and stuff. And the South Node in the 8th house also suggests the elimination of debts in your life. If you have debts you need to pay off, then you may be able to do that in surprising and positive ways to live a debt-free life. And with Mars in the 8th house sextiling Jupiter, there's a change afoot in your tax structures, in your chunky money, in your investment portfolio, and your wealth. South Node can bring destined or fated inheritances. Now, the South Node means it's from the past. It's not just brand new, past life, sure, but even just the past of this life, Mars is coming off the 7th house. So it could be coming from an ex-husband, like you guys never finalized the divorce properly, or, after they pass, they leave you money. That sounds crazy, but stranger things have happened. It is the widower signature, right? So often that can lead to money coming from a relationship that included a husband-wife, but it's also the South Node, which means from the past. So it's not like the current person, but you never know. And, it looks to me with the waning moon in the 5th house, there is this crescent moon at the tail end of your 5th house in Gemini. There's a mutual reception to Mercury, and there's a change around entrepreneurial and creative projects and work that is, as something is coming to a close in the entrepreneurial or creative or artistic zone of your life, something new wants to begin in the way you do the work you do. The sun is the ruler of your long-term committed marriage house, your audience, and your marketplace. And as it resets with Jupiter, it can bring you greater public exposure. Like back in 2013-14, I had a couple of viral hits, that's an example. But it could also be something to do with your partner and their situation, right? So possibly this can translate to your partner in life getting a job or some new work as well, as new work, new beginnings in the house of job and work translate to as well collateral benefits to Leo. The house is the significant other. But it's yours as well. Don't discount that. This belongs to you. This is yours to enjoy. And certainly the North Node with Jupiter, all of that, especially in September, a huge increase of prosperity and success. It's really good for changing your dietary style in the next year to find the one that brings you the greatest health and the greatest enjoyment. Kind of find the sweet spot in how you eat for better health. That's a big story here as well. Hope that's useful, Aquarius. I'm going to do a longer and more deep dive video into this in the 3rd week of June, but this is your touch point video for this story. Finally, Pisces, you're ruled by Jupiter, and what Jupiter does, you must pay attention to. End of story. Jupiter is the guy who brings good things, and this is pregnancy. Yes, Jupiter is the father of many children in the house of pregnancy. You can get pregnant, especially with the moon eventually joining in. So this can be you and your partner conceiving a child, but you can be creative here, conceive a book, a creative project, an artwork. You can conceive an entrepreneurial business and a new fresh start. What pregnant possibilities did you have in 2013, summer to 14, that are repeating June of 25 to June of 26? Grandchildren may come off of this as well. Did you have the birth of grandchildren back then? Let me know. I'd love to hear in the comments, because it's back up for renew and review house. Now that's important. That can bring you something to do with the word home. A new home closer to your children. Your children get a lucky break with home. A new home because you're pregnant or your partner is, and you need to get a bigger house. If you need to move, you'll get a bigger and better and more beautiful house. No doubt about it. I kind of feel too, because of the flow to the North Node of fate, you're expanding your own worldly success as a Pisces through till mid next year. And now Jupiter's complying and saying, let's really pump it up. This is a house of good fortune. It involves winning the lottery. It involves speculation and even speculative stocks paying off. So some of you are going to have some good fortune in your finances. That's for sure. So don't overdo anything like gambling and lottery. This is a general astrology reading, but it can be very auspicious for you to actually win some money in the next year. New romance, fresh beginnings. Okay, new romance. Changing your home because of a new romantic love story. Changing your home because of factors to do with pregnancy, children, and your children. There's a reason. The moon is waning into the last crescent balsamic phase, as this was a perfect conjunction in your fourth house of home. Happy endings after times of difficulty connected to the home, dreaming a new vision of your home and what your home should look like, moving into romance, moving into children, moving into creativity and entrepreneurship, somehow dovetailing with a change of home. For some of you, that could be true. South Node Mars is complying with Jupiter to help things move along. You might have some success in the audience marketplace of your life, especially since Jupiter rules your 10th house, reaching new levels of success with audience marketplace, book publishing deals, Juno on the 9th. These are all expanding your territory and reach. There might be some trouble in the paradise here with a relationship, South Node Mars in the significant relationship house, even though you're having a great time about pregnancy, creativity, art, children. Maybe an existing relationship might have some separation, time apart. Maybe you're spending more time traveling, more time with your kids. Travel for sure. So that's the Venus storyline. So maybe because you're busy traveling, you're just going to be separated from somebody that you're in a relationship with. South Node means a soulmate, a partner of destiny, somebody from the past that's now in your life again, return to you, or maybe even just the current person that you're with experiencing some challenges, particularly to their health. But I will say that you could also be finding yourself involved in a new relationship that is at odds with the current marriage, if you know what I mean, right? So I'm going to let you sit with that. This could be a year in which you have a throuple. I don't know if you're consciously going to go polyamorous, or you're having a romantic thing generating while you're also in an existing relationship. I wonder how that would feel for you, because you Pisces, I don't know, can you go double time? Might be competition here between one relationship and the other, but it seems to all work out in the wash. You need to watch for your money a little bit here, but we're going to do a deeper dive. You are a very abundant and lucky and expansive and all of the good things you want to be. Saturn does offer you a caution note to be careful to save and not to overspend in some of this exuberance you're experiencing around money. It's like, don't win the lottery and spend it all. You know what I mean? So use your realistic, sober-minded eyeballs on life. Don't overdo it. The sun is a ruler of the 6th house. This is better for your health, better for your work, better for your daily routines, better for your pets and stuff, but there's such an enjoyment of life. The universe says, I want you to enjoy your life for the next year. Are you down? Be enthusiastic, be inspired, find new inspiration, find new creativity. What were you doing 13, 14? Were you writing a book? Were you painting? Were you dancing? Were you taking acting classes? This can educate you. Jupiter's in an education house in Indian astrology. Juno's in higher education. Venus is in your skills-based learning. One of the things I say, other than book publishing and writing, that a lot of you Pisces might get going is learning. I'd say a lot of you can benefit by going into some exciting new learning directions that capitalize on your natural talents and gifts, and finding those bring you back to life. This reminds me of that Evanescence song, Wake me up inside, wake me up inside. Yeah, nah, 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 nah. Okay, I can't sing. But there's something about your waking up inside, the joy of life, the eros, the life force, the principle, the enthusiasm from being on planet Earth is trying to generate energy for you in the next 12 months. And did you have this kind of revival in 2013, 14? And if so, in the comments, I'd like to hear how that went. I'd like to know for you. This can help you heal that chironic wound around your money, like sifting through your fingers and you don't manage to save any, the earnings aren't good enough. This can turn that around. Jupiter squares that chironic story, and you might have a massive turnaround story around how you relate to earnings, money, resources, and wealth. And you might be profoundly shifting those gears this time around in a way that you may not have been doing at all 12 years ago. But we weren't dealing with Chiron back then. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I usually have an extra kind of thing, an outro, but I have an appointment I need to get to. I want to reflect on a couple of things. I'm back in the synchronicity curve again. And I don't know if I told you guys, the ladybug story. I'm recording videos and there's a ladybug on my window. And that was for I don't know which one that was for. It could have been the All Signs videos for June. And then someone leaves a little ladybug stone outside my doorstep, like a painted stone by the local kids. And it's a ladybug right on my doorstep. And then 2 days later, my son comes over with his wife, and then we're having a barbecue, and he brings tomatoes for the burgers, and they have ladybug stickers on them. So then yesterday, I'm walking down the street, and there's a board in front of a bakery or bakery, and it's got it like, come in because we have. And one of the words is sandwiches. And as I'm listening to my podcast, someone said sandwiched in between, and I'm reading sandwich as I'm walking down the street right by that billboard. And I'm getting so many synchronicities, not just license plates and numbers, like the more high-tuned stuff. It's insane. It's insane. And then I don't really have a lot to say about that today because I don't have time to ruminate. But I would like to hear, does anybody else notice in their lives that even if you've never been into synchronicity, you can't ignore it? And are you seeing like an acceleration of it for some reason? And is this acceleration a sign of something? Are we all waking up from the matrix? Are there glitches that we're waking up from? I have to say that these little synchronicities just make me feel good. It makes me shake my head and go, wow, there's something else going on here. This is not everything I think it is. This is like Plato's cave, where the prisoners are looking at the reflections of their own self on the cave wall, but they don't recognize it's from the light of the fire. And they're thinking that those are like beings moving on the cave wall and not reflections of their own self. And there's something about synchronicities to me that remind me that what we think reality is and what we're seeing isn't real. I'm reading a book called The Ministry of Time. I'm trying to get into it. I'm about halfway through. It's a slower mover, but I don't know where the punchline is. I'll let you know. I love time travel books too, but I'm just pondering a lot about the layers of reality these days and what's real and what's not, and who's real and what's not, and what's what. All right. I don't have time for a big outro, but the theme is, again, my captivation with synchronicity. What's your experience? Is it accelerating? Can you share some synchronicity stories below? If I find some really good ones in the comments of your synchronicities lately, I will share them in my next video, because this is where life is really at. It's seeing beyond the matrix itself. And that's what astrology does. The asteroids do it. I was just doing the asteroids for the situation in the Middle East. And I looked at Gideon's chariot. I found asteroids for chariots in Gideon. I found asteroids for Bashara. Not his first name, Bashara Baba, but Baba, who's helping trying to negotiate peace in the Middle East with Trump. He's a founder of was Arabs for Trump. Now it's Arabs for Peace, and in the United States. And also the other guy, Witkoff, I found an asteroid for his name, more or less. And I can see how they're perfectly lined up to the Israel story in the sky. I'm going to be doing that in another video. And you can't make this stuff up. But how can it be that I have a client who worked with Ken Wilber and the asteroid Wilbur is on his midheaven, a client who's a sommelier and the god of wine Dionysius and Bacchus are on either side of our midheaven, and it's going to play out as a career path. Okay, I got to roll. Ciao, ciao. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.